we as Christians have to be okay with following. And that's, I think, is going to be hard for some people to hear. When you look at Black Lives Matter, when you look at who's leading immigration talks and walks, when you look at all these things going on with major issues in our country, it's not the church that's at the forefront. We actually have given ourselves such a bad name, people don't even want to listen to us. And so if we're actually going to be a part of seeing transformation actually happen and being rooted in places, then now we're going to actually have to be followers. I know good and well that there are far more things going on with community organizations, residents that are not Christian in our neighborhood that are getting things done far more than the church. And so what do? We come on and support alongside. How can we be of support to you? How can we be of advice and a voice of reason and anything of that for you, right? But do we have to be the forefront leaders? Everybody think go to the church? Absolutely not, right? And I think that's, even when I talk to Coach, my mentor, right, over at Lawndale, we at Canaan, right, we don't partner up and then put a ministry of Canaan Community Church, right? So if you go to Lawndale, you see the health center and the fitness center and the Hope House, they all say a ministry of Lawndale Community Church, because I believe that's a paradigm that comes out of the way that Coach has always thought about the way the church should operate as far as, community development goes. But I think nowadays the paradigm is that we just need to be present and partnering. So when people say, well, tell me what your ministry does. Oh, well, we partner with the Kusanya Cafe over on 69th and Green, which is the first sit-down restaurant here. Yeah, it's not a ministry of Canaan, but the guy who started it, member here, right? We partner with the Resident Association of Greater Englewood, the Voices of West Englewood. We just do the first West Englewood Gospel Fest, right? Was Canaan's name at the top of it? Absolutely not, right? But we provided most of the food. We were the musicians that were there, made sure our church, we support and become a partner so that at all times people see that church is always involved because they want to see our community better. But there's people already doing good work. We don't have to recreate the wheel. It doesn't have to be a ministry of Canaan Community Church. Doing ministry for us is connecting with people who are doing good work, even if they don't recognize it's God's work, we do. And I think that's okay, right? I can go to a Black Lives Matter march and not have to endorse everything they stand for and at the same time know that they're doing God's work, right? Even if they don't know it. If them is just good work, to me, I see, no, this is actually God's work to endorse the humanity of a human being. That's actually God's work. And so I'm here to support you, even if I don't agree with everything you stand for. I'm okay with that. But we have to get over thinking that everybody has to adjust to us if we're actually going to be transformational in the society as it is today. Dr. Brenda Salter McNeil at the last Christian Community Development Conference, when she said, we have got to be okay with understanding that this generation is not looking for the singular, powerful leader anymore. The Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, right? That form, right? No, they're not looking for that anymore. They're just looking for people to be honest and join in as they take lead in the era of social media where they don't have to wait for you anymore, right? So that has been a wake-up call for my congregation as well. It's like, yeah, we're going to go with. We're not going to go lead. And sometimes going with is the best form of leadership. Because if they trust you, they'll ask your advice, right? Now somebody can come to me and say, well, this is what we're planning, but what do you think? And I can say, well, I don't know if that's actually the best way, in my opinion. I would think, and all I'm doing is giving them scripture, but I'm saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't go the violent route. Maybe we should think more about how we can be peacemakers, right? But they have to trust me first before I can tell them don't go tear down the Christmas tree, while you're doing your protest or whatever. They have to know, well, Pastor Jay is going to be out here with us. And now we value his voice, not coming to try to snatch the bullhorn from us. So yeah, it plays itself out differently. I mean, even in just living, it plays itself out differently. Like when I live in community, I don't live in community in a way that makes them think that I'm here as like some kind of a token ministry guy. I just live here, right? My kids just play outside. I don't have to be Pastor Jay all the time. People come to my house to have a barbecue. We are just here, not because we seek to make some transformation for the kingdom, but because this is home. And I think that speaks volumes. And I'm not sure that people who have done Christian community development in the past or any type of work like this are always aware, right? And I say especially when it's cross-cultural, right? Just to be, people ask you all the time, why are you here? I found a nice house and this looks like a great place to live, is a great answer, rather than I felt the call of God to be here and serve. People come to me all the time, find me on the internet or something like that, and want to meet me at the church and talk, and they're like, hey, Pastor Jay, I feel God calling me to serve here, and I just want to be of service to the people of England. I go, we got a lot of people serving. We appreciate you. If you feel like God's calling you here, you can figure something out, but that doesn't excite me. When somebody says, man, this place is beautiful, right? Like, oh man, I saw the kids playing football out on the boulevard. I thought, you see this as a place to live, not a place to do work. And that matters, man. It matters so much. And so that's how our church is called to be. That's how I think the local church is called to be in a neighborhood. We're just called to love, to live, to be present, to cry with people when they're crying, to laugh with people when they're laughing, to celebrate in times of celebration, weep in times of sorrow, and everything in between. But if it's looked at, I don't know how it'd be received. If it's looked at as a ministry field, right? Or I'm going there because I was sent to change and transform, I really don't even want you to come. Unless you feel like this is a place to live, right? I tell people all the time, if I was not pastoring this church, I'd still live where I live. This is home, right? Watch this. If something so dramatic happened that I turned away from the faith, which won't happen, I live right there. I love this place. It's home. This is just the place I love. It's in my heart. It permeates through me. And I think that is what's missing in our faith, is that people don't feel that way anymore about the places they live. We live above place at all times. We can move whenever we want. We can go wherever we want. We follow jobs. We follow this. We follow that. But we very rarely want to root ourselves and invest in a place. And when I look at what the Bible talks about, I think that that's the essence of our faith. And so I challenge people, right, to not be chasing the next dollar, to not be chasing the next fad, to not be chasing the next booming city. But can you be in a place through the good times, the bad times, and the ugly times and still say, but I love this place? When you're actually practicing place, that's what happens, right? It's that Jeremiah 29 paradigm. It's you seek the peace and welfare of the place where God has placed you, right, in the city. Why? Because in its welfare, you find your welfare. So you don't look other places for your welfare. You don't write letters to people in some distant place to come support you where you are. You actually root yourself in that place and become so intertwined in the society and makeup of that place that you have to reach out. You need one another as much as they need you. And that is real Christian living. It is interdependence, which is antithetical to the way we're called to live as Americans. We're supposed to be independent. That's what we were told. If you need other people, you're looked at as weak. The Bible says, if you don't need other people, you're wrong. We're actually living in a large web of interdependent relationships. That's what it is. And if people really realize that, I think, that everything you use, you're dependent on somebody else to get it. Right? No matter how much money you got to buy it, somebody had to make it. Somebody had to think of it. Somebody had to create it. Right? Somebody had to get it to you. There's all these things that it's just a joke to think that you could ever really truly be independent. It's just funny. So that notion of understanding and recognizing mutuality, that you need me as much as I need you, to me it's central, right? It's the next step. In her book, you read Sandra's book, Sandra Van Opsel's book. So yeah, in her book, I don't know if she talked about it or not, so I don't want to take her thunder, but she uses that, how do we do, and she talks about multicultural worship, but she says, how do we go beyond hospitality? Hospitality, we welcome you into the conversation. It's what people do in the neighborhood. Oh, we just want to get welcomed in, So somebody relocates or moves into a neighborhood and all they're trying to do is get accepted by that neighborhood. Hospitality, they just want them to welcome, but we don't want them to beat us up or rob us. We want to be looked at as a neighbor. Okay, that's cool. How do we get beyond hospitality? And she says that's because there's two more steps. There's hospitality, and there's solidarity, right? Solidarity says, oh, I'm not coming in and bringing a different lifestyle, but I'm actually going to come in and be a part of what's actually happening here. So I stand in solidarity with you, with your issues, with your joys, with the way you live, with the way things are here. I'm not coming to change culture here and bring in my outside culture, but actually coming to bring and participate in the culture that's here, right? So solidarity. So I want to, if immigration is an issue for your family, it's an issue for our family, right? If police brutality is an issue for your family, it's an issue for my family. All those different things, right? If economic stability is a problem for y'all, it's a problem for us. But then she says, even beyond that, that third step, and this is what I love about her book, and I think it's the key, is that tone of mutuality. And she says, we want to get from just hospitality and solidarity of, oh, we stand with you, to mutuality, to like, oh my God, we're incomplete without you. Right? Like, we cannot go on if you're no longer a part of us. And that's what we want to grow to. I think that's real mission work. I think that's real church life. I think that's real worship life. I think it's all of that. We want to get to the point where when someone's not there, or when that family or that person is missing, there's a void, right? Because that's what eternity is going to be like, right? I really think, and I don't know anything about heaven. I ain't got a glimpse of it, but supposedly, there's nothing missing there, right? But yet there'll be people missing. So that notion of completeness is really about relationship, right? Everybody won't be there, if we believe the Bible for what it says, but yet everything will be there. So when I live life here, I try to live in a way that I value every single person and what they bring into my life and what they bring into the culture that I'm surrounded by and all of that good stuff, because there's no telling if that person will always be there. And there's a void that's missing if you really intertwine your life when somebody's gone. So when things like someone gets shot, or someone dies of cancer, or someone has HIV, and those things actually happen, to you it's bigger than just, oh man, that's too bad. Because you've intertwined your life, and now you feel the void of that life and what that person brought into your life actually missing. Whether they're homeless and living on the street, or whether they're your best friend, it doesn't matter, right? They bring something. And so it's hard for me to deal with losing people close to me in violence, or people in my community to diseases like diabetes and like that. I hate cancer. I hate cancer because it's stolen so many rich relationships and people from me that were intertwined into my life. People that have helped me become the man that I am, right? But I think there's a whole segment of society who doesn't deal with that, like who doesn't have that paradigm. Like they walk past people all the time and don't have any connection to them, or don't try to have any connection to their life. So if that person is gone or no longer with us, you don't even know, right? You don't have any attachment. How does that work, right? And that's because you live above place. You live above people. It's not about the people around you or the place you live in. I can live wherever I want. I can't live wherever I want. This is where I want to live. Right? Well, that's an attitude of mutuality that gets you to that point. But I do think that's a step process. Like, I don't think you can just jump to mutuality. I think Sandra's right. First, hospitality, being invited into people's lives and inviting them into yours. Then in solidarity, actually knowing what people need and desire and wanting to be a part of that. And then it's from there you enter into those what I call dangerous relationships, mutuality, where it's like, man, you're so open, you vulnerable with one another, you need each other, you crying when something happened to the other person, their family is your family, right? Their kids are your kids, right? Those type of relationships. And I know that everybody doesn't enter into those relationships as quickly as other people, but I still think it's our call to seek them out and to have more than we do.